Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to tell you the differences between Python and C++ and which language you should learn based on what you want to do. So C++, first of all, is a rather low-level language. The language is absolutely huge and you'll need to handle a lot of complex things such as memory management and quite a lot more stuff. You also need to write a lot of code before you can get a working prototype if you're planning on building an app from scratch, and it'll be difficult to grasp how all the features work, and you can easily get lost in the whole language. So if you didn't know, I used to do a bit of C and C++. I'm by no means an expert. I could barely do much stuff with it, and I found it very, very difficult. No matter what tutorials I found it very difficult. So I started just looking at other programming languages. I done a bit of HTML, CSS, all that stuff until eventually I did Python. And then when it came to iOS apps, I wanted to do Swift. So right now I do more Swift than Python. C++, when I said it's a low-level language, means it's very difficult. Like, Python is a high-level language, which might make it seem more difficult, but the higher the level, the easier it is, because it's more readable. Like, if you took someone who had no idea about code, it'll be easier for them to understand. So here's a hello world in Python on the screen right now. And then right now, here is a hello world in C++. If you did iOS apps before 2014, before Swift was released, I think, you could use C++ and Objective-C as well, another C language, Objective-C in iOS apps. Objective-C was compulsory, and then you could use C#, C, C++ with it. Nowadays, Apple have completely simplified it, and Swift is a lot simpler. So C++ is kind of obsolete, but it's still a very, very powerful language. But it's not exactly the most sensible to go into unless you are an expert. So C++'s greatest strength is how scalable it could be. So apps that are very resource intensive are usually built with it. Graphics require a lot of resources, so that's why the best 3D games are often built with C++. C++ is generally a better performer than dynamically typed languages because the code is type checked before it's executed. It's not the fastest program, but depending on how you type C++ and depending how it is, it can be fast. One of the fastest programming languages out there. You have a lot of control over your apps. The programming language syntax is quite difficult, but generally for a beginner you definitely wouldn't want to do C and C++. Like, that's just unless you want to give yourself a massive challenge, especially if you don't know anything else about programming in general, which was my mistake. So when you compare Python to it, Python is a very high level language, very readable. As you look at the hello world again, it's very readable. It's simple: print, brackets, colon, hello world. And it's much more readable than C++ and many other programming languages. I'd say overall, definitely Python would have to take the win if you want to be a beginner. There are not many other programming languages that are as well-rounded. There's so many different libraries that you can use, like Flask for web development, Django. If you want to go even higher up there are math libraries, there's science libraries. Python can be used to develop games. It's very easy to learn. It's a lightweight language. There are many compilers out there. There's a lot of support for it. There's just so much in the favor of Python, and it's relatively new in the programming language scene. Not very new, kind of new. It's around 25 years old. C++ is one of the oldest languages out there. One more point about C++. One thing as a programmer you'll learn very quickly is it's not easy to maintain. It needs a lot of code, which means you need quite a large team to scale a C++ app. And from a time and financial investment point of view, C++ isn't easy to scale. So think about that before you want to make a game. But with Swift, with Python, with JavaScript, it's easy to make games without having huge financial investment. All you need is a laptop. It doesn't have to be a latest laptop or anything, just a laptop or computer, and you can do that. But C++ is very hard to scale and very hard to manage. So that's the end of the video. If you like this video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. Tell me what other languages you want me to review next, and I'll tell you the advantages between Python and any other language or any random two languages. If I missed anything out, just let me know in the comments. Go to my website, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. Link in the description below.